Welcome to Permission to Shine, the space where high-achieving women like you come to peel back the layers, overcome what's been holding you back, and rise into your most authentic, powerful self. I'm your host, Sherisse Bisram, inner power activation leader and intuitive healer, and a woman who knows what it means to look like she's thriving on the outside, also while feeling disconnected on the inside. This podcast is here to remind you, you didn't come here to just perform, you came here to lead with your soul. Your obstacles, they're invitations to expand. And your power, it was never outside of you. It's been waiting within you all along. Each week we'll dive into honest conversations, healing insight and soul-led strategies to help you stop self-sabotaging, reclaim your light and lead your life, your business and your relationships from deep-rooted truth. So if you're ready to rise with grace, softness and fire, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, so I have a really amazing guest on today, and we actually crossed paths like twice in 1 week. And I think when we crossed paths straight away, we were like, we need to speak more. We definitely need to explore what this looks like. And when you spoke at the International Women's Day, everything you said, I was like, yes, this resonates so deeply, about the motherhood wound, about unconditional love and channeling that, and how that really is a missing piece for so many people. And I feel like everything so we obviously combine two worlds because we're in the coaching space, but also like this spiritual healing space, and it kind of all merges together. And I think we see the clarity in it, but people that aren't in it don't see the clarity. And I was like, there's so many connections here as to, where I look at the inner child work, and then your work is so deeply rooted in the motherhood wound, and then you channeling unconditional love. I think I feel that in people as well. So I feel like even when I just walked past you, I was like, I need to speak to you more because I feel it. And I think that that's something that I'm noticing in myself as well, that it might not necessarily be unconditional love that I'm channeling, but it's something similar. And
I'm sure.
I was like, yeah, there's something here that we,
Yeah,
us, our people, we find each other. So
do.
I'm really excited to have you here. And it is the amazing Geraldine Crane. So thank you for being here.
I am so happy to be here. This is going to be good.
Yeah, definitely. Well, can you tell everyone in a little bit more detail what you do and maybe how you do it?
Okay, so I work with women who are doing well. They've got a business, they love it, but they're kind of hitting a point where, okay, I can't get to the next step. And usually it's because there's an old survival pattern, an old survival wound that's coming up that's stopping them go to that next level. The nervous system is holding them in that level, like you won't cope with this. And it can be things like being the good daughter, being very loyal. It can be a real fear of being visible that may get you in trouble. So it may be that you grew up in an environment where your relationship with your mum or with your family wasn't healthy, happy and safe. But can be various reasons, but because of that you had to learn to not take up too much space, not be too visible, not be seen, or to be the strong one, to be the independent one, to take care of everyone, to fix everything, or to overgive. And there's these, I call them like survival archetypes, and I see them a lot, particularly with people who have had a difficult relationship with their mother. But it's my job to kind of work with those female entrepreneurs who they just can feel something's holding them back. And I'm there to step in and give them the safety to start exploring this stuff, to connect with their inner child, to bring their inner child the safety and love they need, to connect with their spirit guides and channel in that absolute unconditional love that allows you to start seeing yourself as you truly are, that allows you to reconnect with the power I believe we all have within us, with the wisdom we all have within us, and really lean into that. So those identity patterns, they kind of settle down. I'm safe. It's okay. We don't need this. And also, I teach you to get really clear on being able to spot them and how to calm them down when they do come up, because when you hit a moment of stress, they're gonna pop up. and you just get better and better at spotting them and letting them go quicker. But all held in the love of the universe, really held by that love, because with when you know you've got a whole team of spirit guides around you, they've got your back, it just changes everything. You just feel stronger and safer, bolder, more unapologetically yourself. And that lets your business really feel safe to expand and grow. That's why I use the lighthouse. And if you look at my logo, you'll see it's a triangle, which is what I use pyramids to help people protect themselves. There's a massive light at the bottom, at the top, and it's because I love to help people become that lighthouse. Stop getting in everybody else's boat. Stop thinking you think you know where everybody else should be. Stay in your lighthouse, but keep it strong, keep it shining bright, taking care of your energy, and that light, then the impact is huge and it spreads much further. And that's my job.
Yeah, so much of that I was like nodding along to. I was like, yeah. And it really is that. I think that I see so much in women, like the micromanaging, the trying to control, the grasping everything all the time because we were taught to be reliable, capable, do all the things. Like I even know in my own family, I have this little funny story I always tell about the like oldest. So a lot of my family died young. I think I said that to you before. The
Mm,
oldest relative that I had made it to 80, but everyone else was sort of like the oldest next to that was 54. So there was a massive gap of people that died
mm,
young. And so my oldest standing relative is my great aunt. And she's now in her 80s, which is lovely. But there was a time when I must have been, I don't know, like mid 20s, maybe early mid 20s. And she said to me, go and get your mum so then she can dish out your stepdad's food. And I went to her, why do the men always have to eat first? I was like, we're all hungry. Can we not just dish out our own food? And she looked at me dead in the face and she went, you're right. I don't know why we do that. She went, everyone come and get your own food. And I thought, this Caribbean woman who's never actually thought about why do we do this? And then she was just like, yeah, come get your own food. But she lived a very sort of life serving others, so I thought that that was a really nice moment where I just like allowed her to look at things differently, but so many women don't have that opportunity, right?
yep.
um Even what you said about like knowing that there's a whole team of ancestors supporting you, I just remember in the pandemic when this was really my healing journey and the part where I didn't realize what had happened to me and why I was the way I was. And I had a astrology reading and it was a Vedic astrology reading. And she just said to me, she was like, there's a whole team of ancestors that's supporting you and waiting for you to come into this timeline to do this. And I just remember
Mm,
sobbing, thinking, oh my gosh, my whole life I felt so alone. And then knowing that that was there, I was like, wow, that changed the whole way I look at my life. And I feel like
mhm,
so many women are just wandering around and not believing in themselves, not realizing that everything and every soul and every being has been waiting for me
mm.
to step into this. I feel like that really is that power. And even what you said about the pyramid and the light, I always talk about the light too. So there's so much here that we're going to talk about. But first of all, I would love for you to give the audience that don't know who you are real context as to why the mother wound in particular is so important for you.
Okay, so when I was 12 years old, my mum became very ill. My parents had divorced, and I was living with my mum and a sibling. Um, and she became very, very ill, but she already had a long history of mental health issues, but she physically became very ill with fibromyalgia and ME. And I became her carer. And so I would help her dress, help her feed, I would keep the house clean. I became her full-time carer. And by the time I got to 19, I had a complete breakdown. And I always thought, mainly because this is what my mum told me, that it was because of that heavy weight of taking care of her physically and not having much external support. But actually, as I got older, I started to realize that it was much more to do with the mental capacity of what and the emotional capacity of what I was carrying, because I didn't just take care of her physically, I took care of her emotionally, and we call that parentification. So I became much more the parent. I became her confidant. She would share with me when she had suicidal ideation. I would be the one to calm her down if she was harming herself at all. For her, and I'm sorry if this triggers anyone, but for her it was more she would like scream or hit herself, throw things around, and it would be me that would be the one to calm her down from being very, very, 12 is young to be dealing with that. Um, and so our relationship became very enmeshed and very codependent. And she really saw me as an extension of her, as her rock. She really depended on me and wanted me to depend on her, to be the center of my world. And she really was for a long time. I absolutely adored her. She really was the center of my world. But it wasn't healthy. It became really unhealthy because as I tried to have an identity of my own, she would start using guilt trips or manipulation, or she certainly turned me against my father. Eventually she even tried to turn me and my brother against each other. She would say things about me behind my back to my grandparents, and so there was a lot of triangulation. She also isolated me from my extended family, making me believe they didn't want me or care about me. She wanted it to be me and her against the world. And I do believe she really believed that was true. I don't think she was out to get me or hurt me, or I don't believe that. But I do believe that she wanted it to be me and her against the world, and anything that got in the way of that, she tried to cut off in some way, including me. When I tried to spread my wings, get to know myself, she would cut it down. So it was that kind of cycle of abuse, of being put on a pedestal of you take care of me, we're so close, we're so wonderful. And the minute that I would be laughing in another room with my friends and not include her, forget to get her a drink, or decide I want to do something that doesn't fit in with her plans for me that day, I would be knocked off my pedestal and told I was a terrible carer. And this just got worse as I got older. Um, but for a long time, I didn't see it. I just thought, well, she is really struggling. She does really need me. Um, and I really didn't see how harmful the relationship was until I became a mother myself. And you start going, I wouldn't do this to my child. It was starting to affect the way I was parenting because my nervous system was completely messed up. It was really messy. So my daughter's learning disabled and autistic, and I was losing my temper with her in awful, like, I remember picking her up at one point and throwing her on a bed. I never hurt her, but it, that's bad. That was not who I wanted to be. And that really alerted me to, okay, I have to do something about this. I also, at that point, my career was as a probation officer. I worked in substance misuse and addiction. And actually, when you look at trauma bonding, that cycle of abuse, it's really similar to addiction, and you become addicted to the person. Um, but I also then went to work with survivors of domestic abuse, and a big part of that job was to really help them to see their abuser clearly, to undo that addiction. So I would take them through the power and control wheel, which is used in the Duluth Domestic Abuse Program, and it's to really explore all the different forms that abuse and harmful behaviour can take. And when I looked at that with in regards to my relationship with my mother, it was not good news. Um, and at the time, I also happened to be seeing a very good counsellor, and she was starting to really open my eyes to it. I remember the day she said to me, "Why are you not furious with her? You keep defending her, and you should be furious." And I just remember coming home, and it was like my world tipped upside down. My head was spinning, and it was suddenly like, oh, everything I thought to be true is not. And it's in that instability is very, very difficult. And it took a few years before I actually found the strength to cut contact. But again, it was the counsellor. It was somebody finally saying to me, "What would life look like without her?" Nobody had ever given me that permission before. And by this point, I'd built a very strong relationship with my mum's mum, my grandmother. We'd always been close, but since her my granddad had died, she'd moved closer, and we were spending so much time together that we were starting to see where my mother had tried to damage our relationship with each other. And my grandmother just said, "You're not who she told me you were." And she started getting very protective of me. And when I did finally cut contact, she had my back completely. So it's these things that really helped me. But when it's your mum that you're cutting contact with, it's a extremely hard thing to do. And I don't think everybody that has a difficult relationship should do that by a long shot. But for me, it was necessary because every time I tried to put a boundary or get some distance, she got worse and I got more ill. Um, so in the end, I didn't have a choice. But I think one of the key things to really help you to be able to recover from that kind of toxic relationship, for a better phrase, is a source of unconditional love. Because especially when it's your mum and she's supposed to be that source of safety, comfort, and unconditional love, when that's not been there, then we need that to kind of know that we're okay and we're safe. And that was where I started my spiritual journey when I was 19. I started with a spiritual circle. And it was there that I discovered my ability to connect with spirit guides, with ancestors, angels, all sorts of loving beings that were around me. And their source of support, plus my grandmother and my husband. And I was very blessed. I had a lot of support in that way. But the thing is, even those people who loved me and wanted to support me couldn't understand what I was going through because they hadn't experienced a relationship with their mother like that. They couldn't get it. And that's where kind of my connection with my spirit guides came even stronger because they get it. They get you. They've got you. I even remember at one point connecting with my granddad and saying, "I wish you were here." And he said, "No, you don't." Because I wouldn't have got it. I wouldn't have understood. I would not have taken your side. He said, "Now I see all of it." And that's the difference with them. They see all of it. But it has made me determined to always, in any space I am holding, you will always be safe to talk about your relationship with your mother with in complete honesty. I will always hold that space for you because we need to be with other people that get it.
No, I completely agree. And thank you so much for sharing that so openly. And I know that that is part of what you do. But again, it's always just a reliving moment, isn't it? So I think it's always important to acknowledge the fact that there's so much pain attached to that as well. And
Mm,
bravery and courage, like all of those big emotions that are so there. And I just the word that came forward to me just on so many levels when you were talking is betrayal. And it's
mm.
almost healing from that betrayal, isn't it? Because
It is, yeah.
all the time we don't know it's that. We're
Mm,
blissfully unaware and we're protected, aren't we, in that? But the moment
mm.
that becomes apparent, it's like, fuck, like this is actually
True.
what's been happening, right? And so much of the emotions that you felt and the experiences that you had cross over in my life in different ways. So
Mm,
when you're talking about the domestic abuse was what was happening in my household, as well
mhm,
as my dad was an alcoholic. So all of that side of things I was experiencing. And so I
mm,
was in the parental role because I was the eldest daughter. And my dad was always unconscious because he's passed out drunk or abusive because he was drunk. And then my mum was always working, so she was absent in the home. So then I did take those roles on and the emotions, the responsibility. And it was actually only recently, probably the last few years, when I began this healing journey, that in doing this work and, the inner child healing work, that I realized how much my nervous system had been compromised through bracing for everyone all of the
yes.
time and
Yes.
holding it all in my body, like
Hmm.
even down to, like you said, expanding and receiving in our businesses and all of those things. It's like because I was literally holding everything so tightly that I
Yeah.
need to just drop it all again and then rebuild. And I
Mm.
feel like there's always going to be that expansion and release always
Yes.
throughout our life
Always.
road because we've been so tested, I guess, in our nervous systems and
Yeah.
in childhood and things like that. And that's the beautiful thing about healing is continuous, obviously, for all of this as
Just keep
well.
going deeper. It's just another
Exactly.
layer that comes back. I have had people say, "Well, I've healed my mother wound," and I always think, Just wait for a moment of stress, something, a big moment of stress. Those wounds will come up. It doesn't mean you haven't done the healing. You've done the healing to the point your nervous system was at,
Mm,
but there is always more. You can always go deeper. And it's just, it tends to be when there's something big happens that you'll see it start coming up again. Then it's not to me about getting rid and healing it all and being absolutely rid of it all. It's being able to spot it. Because actually, your mother wound or other wounds can become a source of, it's like a pathway to your power.
I agree.
Because you start to be able to spot it, don't you? And
Mm,
that's when you start to go, oh, okay, there's a moment for real growth and expansion. And it doesn't mean, because sometimes you get, well, are you really grateful for everything that happened to you? No, you don't need to be grateful for what happened. It's not about that. It can feel very, it's like all the pressure to forgive or to be grateful for what happened. No, that's not where the growth happens. It's being able to spot that there is growth and be grateful for that, for
mm,
your ability to be able to grow and move. And it's accepting.
yeah, I was
Acceptance to
that.
me is the absolute gateway to freedom. It's
Yeah,
not forgiveness.
I completely agree. When you said it's not forgiveness, literally acceptance was the word that came to
Mm,
well. And that's what I try and teach my clients too. It's like
mm,
we might not be ready to forgive and we might not ever want
okay.
to forgive, but when we
Mm,
can accept what's happened, then
yeah,
we can move forward because it just is, rather than us trying to
yeah,
make it more than what it needs to be or
yeah.
giving it too much weight because it's carried a lot of weight inside of us for so long. When
Hmm.
we accept, it's almost like we're letting go of it. And we're
Yeah.
saying that will always be there and it will always belong in the ether,
Mm.
but it's not for us to hold it anymore. And I think that also
It's
feels good.
ex it's accepting we can't change it. It's
Mm,
happened. It is what it is. But it's also accepting, well, a lot of the time when it comes to mothers, there almost feels like because there's that societal expectation to put our mothers on a pedestal and no matter what we should be, loving and accepting of them. But it's also what we tend to do is hold on to a fantasy.
absolutely.
If I just give more, if I just be more, maybe she will be the mother I need her to be. And it's accepting that that's probably never going to happen.
Mm,
And it's accepting that you can survive that, you can move beyond that
yeah,
you
I
will be
feel
okay.
yeah, absolutely. And I even feel like it's so hard for us as young people because we haven't developed that part of our brain that can understand what's actually happening. And so I believe that it is painful as an adult to really relive it all because you're realizing from that
Mm,
intellectual level of like how that person has treated you, what you've experienced. And it's yeah, taking that person
mm,
as a separate entity to who they were supposed to be. I think that in itself is where
mm.
you can almost find the acceptance, but it's not saying it's easy. It's just saying that
It's
when you
not. And
come out of the role,
yeah, with the inner child work, there's kind of two elements to it. There is the element of going back. And because I'm a spiritual hypnotherapist, that's my main modality that I use, and coaching. It's I always make sure that it's so clear that when you go back, you're not doing it on your own this time. You've
mm,
got me, but you've
absolutely.
got your spirit guide. So anytime I'm using hypnosis and I always have spirit involved, I'm always channeling the love. So you're very held in that space. But
Mm,
inner child work is also about building a relationship of safety, trust, and love with your inner child. And
mm,
your inner child, it's so lovely when you get people to really start to see their inner child, see how beautiful they were, how worthy they were, how and still are, and really hold that space for their own inner child and bring that security to their own inner child. And it's a lovely exercise quite often to take the inner child out of this situation that was one of pain and put them somewhere safe and have fun with them and play and let them be a child. And when you do that, that part of you, that inner child comes forward more, and that brings more creativity. It brings more clarity. You know yourself better because nobody knows you better than your inner child. They know what you want. And that can be so beneficial when you're running a business to really have, and also your inner child will tell you when you've done too much. Like, you need to, I need to go play. Like this is too much now.
Yeah.
When you connect with your inner child, it's yes, there's work that needs to be done at the start, but once you do,
Mm.
oh, it's so beautiful. I love it.
I couldn't agree more. And actually, that's the something that I take my clients through as well. So when you said it, I was like, yes, that is it. Taking them out of that memory. And I always give them a lollipop or an ice cream or something.
Mm.
You see the look on their face of excitement because it's like maybe you wasn't allowed that, or maybe you had to be really good to get that, and all those
Mm.
beautiful things. And like, always like unicorns come forward in those memories and stuff because it's just fun, isn't it? It's
Always
that.
in sparkly dresses, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, a sparkly dress. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny now because I think about my nieces and I'm like, what do they love? And I'm like, yes, it's all of these things, isn't it?
Mm.
Beautiful. And as an adult, I feel like now it's funny in my outfit choices, I always feel like I'm almost dressing for my inner
Thank you for
child because
listening to
obviously
this
I'm so
week's
vibrant and
episode.
like
Please
sparkling
do
in the
You
thing.
must have
like,
seen the thing I'm doing
follow,
recently
and
about
share with a
to
woman
embrace
that
my
you
inner
know
child as
needs to
Care
hear
Bears.
these words
Yeah,
today.
that's it.
The more
That's
women that get
it.
to
I
listen,
love it
the
so
more
much.
impact
And I
and
think that
change and
that's just it,
transformation
right?
get to
Isn't it? I
make
think
into
we
this
think that we have
world,
to be an
and
adult and be
the light
serious,
in
but it's
you
like,
shines on
no, like
others.
where
So
is the
sharing
play, the
that forward is
creativity, the
absolutely
wonder?
Which
beautiful. I love
is
this. This
something
is
that
how we
can
all
come up a
give
lot,
and
particularly
get
in the
and
spiritual world and the
receive the
self-help world.
permission
It's like
to
you've got to
fully
do the inner
shine.
work, you've got to do the
I also
dark
have
work.
some really
And
incredible
yes,
things
that's
happening this
important.
year.
But there is
I'm
so
hosting
much
the
healing
second
to be
She
had in
Rises
the
event
light,
in April. So if
Mm,
you
having
want to
fun,
find out
in
more about
like
that,
stepping
click the
out of
link in the
that. Yes,
description.
this happens to
And
me, but
I'm now
right, look
newly
where I am.
launching
Look how much
my
fun I can
first
have. Look
ever
how I can
group
play.
program that is
And
called
it
Unforgettable.
tends to be a bit
And
of
it's
back and
taking you
forth in between the
from
two, but
feeling
there's so
visibility
many people
to
I've worked
embodied
with and
authority.
spirit bring through
So whether
messages for
that's
them of
host your own
stop
podcast
it,
or
go and
being
have
on
some fun.
stage or
absolutely. And I feel like
being the
that's been
leader of
something
your
that message has
field,
come forward
you're
for me
ready
this
to
week.
fully
So obviously I've been
embody
at all the events.
this
Obviously
version
that's
of
what
Mm.
you
I
you
was
know
that
you've been
has this
busy.
dream and
been so
ambition that
You've
you're
been really
unlearning
busy.
the limiting
And my
beliefs,
friends
the
invited me
childhood
to a brunch at the end of
experiences, the
this month, which is
generational
this
trauma that
weekend. And at the
stopped you and
time, I was
prevented
like,
you
I
from
don't know if I can
fully
add
stepping
anything
into
in.
who
And
you
then I had
came
my
here to
MOT
be.
yesterday, and I was like,
This
right,
is the
my
space where you
car
get to
passes its
write
MOT. I'm
a
supposed to
new
go to this brunch, but I was just
story, a
using
new
that as an
chapter in
excuse
your
because really
life.
I knew
And
that
I'm
I
so
should
excited to hold
play.
that space
Like
for
it's
you.
time for me
And
to
as
play now. I
always,
did so
if you're
much
looking for
work. So,
one-to-one
and
guidance
I
and
was like,
support,
take a leaf out
drop
of
me a
my own book.
message
Like, what
because
would
there's
I be saying
always
to my
spaces
clients
for
right now?
you.
Like, you can't
Yes.
be all
Yeah.
work,
Thank you so
no
much,
play,
love.
especially in my full Leo nature. I'm like, I need to be having fun. That's part of who I am. But
Mm.
I guess really, if we circle back in, I would love to know. I know there's been lots of facets of your story, and there's going to be moments throughout this, but when would you say was a real moment in your life that you feel like you gave yourself that full permission to shine?
To shine. Mm. Really thinking about that. Um, do you know, it's trying to think. I think that has actually come more recently.
Mm,
I think it's been a real slow burner because I remember the moment I cut contact and that was a moment of allowing me to really prioritize what I needed, but not a moment to shine. That was a real moment of actually I need to go in, I need to back away from the world and heal right now. Um, there's been different moments, and it's funny how they can come about in bizarre ways. So I had breast cancer, caught very, very early, but had to have a mastectomy and lose my nipple, and it was all reconstructed from my stomach. And I shared a lot of that. And it sounds really funny, but there was a shining through that.
mm,
Like, because I felt it was really hard, but I also felt really strong. And I
mm.
think because I'd done so much inner work, I have a hypnotherapist that I see who's absolutely gorgeous, wonderful man, who has been there for me at some really difficult moments. And so I had this stability beneath me, I had this peace beneath me, and I felt able to kind of shine through that. Even for my birthday that year, I think it was like my 42nd birthday or something, and I just had a bye bye boob party.
I love that.
My friend even made me a boob cake. It was really funny. Um, and so there's been moments I felt able to shine in that. And then it's funny, I got dimmed again because this last year has been very challenging with school issues with my son. I can't go into that in much detail, but and then I broke my leg in three places. And that, when we talk about healing, that something will trigger and you have to go deeper, that made me have to go very deep with my mother wound stuff because I was suddenly having to walk around using a Zimmer frame or in a wheelchair. And even the sound of the Zimmer frame sounded like my mum's walking stick. Being in a wheelchair, I felt like I was sitting the way my mum sat. Like it was just really difficult, but it was also when you're completely dependent on people to get you stuff and help you, it was also bringing up some empathy for my mum.
Yeah.
Just really understanding why maybe she got so scared, why she behaved the way she did, because I could see it, but at the same time knowing still shouldn't have done it though. Do you know what I mean? So it
Mm.
was the real of going deep, um, and I felt I had a hard time because I couldn't leave the house for a long time, and then trying to come back out after recovering from a mastectomy, and then everything felt very, very heavy. And then I went to a spiritual business awards. It was the Spiritual Ascension Awards, and it was. I found the first day. It's funny because I didn't have any money. I put it on the credit card and just thought, I've been nominated. I'm gonna go. Scared witless, didn't know anyone. Didn't know anyone, which is not like me. I always wanted, and now I will go anywhere, whether I know people or not. But at that point, it felt big, and I went to the day, and there was lots of talks, and everybody was very lovely. But my nervous system was still not, was struggling with it. And then the next day, then we had the award ceremony in the evening, and I knew I wasn't going to get the award. I was up for a diversity award, because I do shout about LGBTQ and neurodiversity and motherhood. So diversity is very, very important to me. However, I was up against a woman who is an African refugee who does incredible work supporting refugees coming into the country. And I was like, if I win this, I'm leaving. Like, this is ridiculous. Shouldn't be. And then the other one was a heart-led business, which I was in a category with six other incredible women. But do you know what? I felt like I'd won because and it sounds like such a cliche, but it really did because I stood up with these other women and I'm like, I'm in the category with these women, like, and I felt so accepted and like this was this felt right that was a moment of shining for me, even though the light wasn't on me in any way, but I felt like I was shining. And that was a real transformation, a big step for me
Mm.
in my business and for myself. Like there was also business coaches I met and worked with there who really saw me and
Mm.
saw what I have to give, and it's sent me on a trajectory now. And then being able to speak on the stage where we met the second time when I spoke as part of that panel for the International Women's Day, um, that was a real moment of kind of, oh, I can do this.
Mm.
Like it really felt when I wasn't sure how I was going to get received because I'm in a room of business women and I'm talking spirit and mother wounds. So hard stuff and also like off the scale woo in some ways. But I was met with such love. And I know I bring a lot of love, but I was met with it. And even the lady who was leading the panel for us, I can't remember her name, she was incredible.
Lulu.
Lulu, she was incredible. But she actually stopped at one point and just said, please keep your heart open to this stuff because it really does help. And I think feeling her support, I have reached out to her and said thank you. Um, that was a real moment of shining for me, and I feel like I am now really just starting to step into, okay, this is what I do, and
Mm.
not focusing actually on the mother wounds, focusing on I help people become their own lighthouse.
Yeah.
I help people to shine, and I'm working on a program. It's in early stages at the minute, but something like safe to shine or safe to expand, or
Mm.
it's that safety to just go
Yeah.
and really step into your next level. Um, but doing it through that connection with your inner child, that connection with your spirit guides, and really allowing, I take people through a soul shift, which is where you get still, You observe your thoughts, you observe the feelings, you allow yourself to feel them, then you understand. Bring
Mm,
that compassion in for yourself. Bring the love in from spirit guides to help you see yourself more clearly. And then we listen. We listen to what is that part telling me? Why is it there? But also listen to your truest self. Listen to your guides. Listen to your heart and let
yes, everything you were sharing, I was just nodding and
it go.
lots of different ways. But when you're telling your story, especially with the cancer diagnosis and going through that,
Mm,
like the word that was coming through for me was like so fiercely feminine. Like everything
mm,
you do is so fiercely feminine. And I believe that's probably why you were so tested with your relationship with your mum.
mm,
I feel like that is who you are. Like you are this unconditional love, but this real maternal frequency that you have just naturally. And even when you
mm,
said about, you being in a similar situation that your mum was living in,
mm.
it's like that, like you said, was the mirror for you in that moment, but also
Was
for
it?
you to see how different you are as
Mm,
a result of going through a similar experience. Obviously, it was your
mm,
mum was like that permanently, but still that compassion, like you said, but also the growth. I just
mm,
think it's such a wonderful, it's not wonderful, obviously, in what it was, but the fact that you
mm,
can see how different and the choices that you've made
mm,
have shifted just your entire timeline and generational timeline, right? Because
mm.
there's a version of you that would have repeated what she did or
Yes.
become toxic and all of the
Mm.
things. And I think,
There was moments and things that I did to members of my family which were completely passing on her stuff and
mm,
backing it up. I have since come back and gone, I'm so sorry.
yeah, but
I
this is
am
the
so
thing.
sorry.
I think that, in moments of hardship and hurt, which you've experienced a lot of, we
Mm,
aren't our best selves. But then to take accountability for it after and say, look, I was hurting. This is
mm.
why I acted the way I did. I think
Well,
that's
it was
powerful.
also she is can be extremely charismatic, you
Mm,
know, and she can be very convincing. And so I accepted her worldview. I thought when she told me that person's wrong, they shouldn't have done this or they've done this, I accepted it as truth. And it was only once I started really pulling away from her and cutting contact that I was able to go, hey, no, it's all cotton. Like, this
mm,
is not.
but-
I had to relearn so much about myself, my
mm,
family, the world, my perspective. But I think that has brought me. I was always like, the reason I talked about Care Bears was when I was little, I loved Loves a lot. Loved Loves a lot. And I was that little girl who would write in your cards, I love you so, 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 so much. And it'd be covered in kisses. And I'd be all, just going on about how much I loved you and so many big words and effervescent with love. And and the spirit showed me recently that I am a Care Bear, that I channel love
mm,
through and I shine it out. And my job is to create more Care Bears so more people can shine it. And it's really I have realized that really at the end of the day is my job is to bring love
mm,
to and it's that love that will allow you as a businesswoman, as a female entrepreneur, when you really are connected with pure unconditional love, you will make the bolder steps, you will take the risk, and you will trust in yourself and your own judgment so much more, but you will also attract the cheerleaders and
mm,
you will repel the ones that aren't good for you. It can benefit in so so many ways. It's funny
mm.
because I had a business coach ask me the other day, what's the positive outcomes of working with you? And I just went, and it's because it's very hard. Like I can't suddenly double
Yeah,
your income. I don't suddenly like fix all the relationships. It's not like that. It's everything.
yeah, absolutely. But as a byproduct, that those things can happen because
Yeah,
it's natural, right? And we see
yeah.
that. And what's funny as well is when you were saying about the Care Bear thing, my mum says the Care Bear thing. So
Mm,
it's really interesting. And I feel
mm,
like my mum was suppressed so much from her own childhood trauma experiences and all the hardship she faced.
mm,
She's always been soft, through everything. And I've obviously been the strong one, so she's been able to
Mm.
be soft, which is lovely. And then she always says about the Care Bear thing. But when you said about you being nominated for the award and you stand up with all those women, I was seeing that image of all the Care Bears shining their light out. And I was like, maybe that's why it also felt really special for you, because it's like you said, being a part of something, but knowing that
Mm.
when we all connect and we all share that love and that light, that everyone benefits. And like I think we spoke
And
about.
this is what I think is so important. You know, there is so much division out there, so much division, and it's showing up everywhere at the minute. Love really is the key. Like when you really sit in love, like some people think if you really love yourself, you're going to get arrogant. It's absolute, that's not love, that's fear. When
Mm,
you really sit in love, compassion,
mm,
even for those people who are doing things that you just think, oh my God, like what are you doing? But you're able to see stuff, you're able to hold space for it. And I do think I work a lot with Divine Mother energy. It's funny you saying that you bring that maternal. She has come into my work a lot recently, Divine Mother. And that energy holds such a unconditional perspective on everything. I had an experience for myself in hypnosis where I was going to a period of my life when I was 19. I always describe myself as going off the rails. I was using lots of recreational drugs and not making sensible decisions, lost a lot of weight, went very, very, very thin. Um, and yeah, was getting into all sorts of unhealthy relationships. I was, I was, I was wounded. I was in a bad place. And it was funny when I looked at myself through the lens, through her lens of love, not through the one my mum had always given me of that period, through this absolute divine mother energy. I just saw a young woman, a young girl, just trying to figure herself out, which
mm,
is natural to do at that age. Not everybody does it that way. And yes, I may have done it. I've known people do it way more dramatically than that as well. So there was just so much compassion and just forgiveness for that younger me. Like, you were just doing the best you
mm,
can. And I think that's what love brings. Everybody, you can just see they're just doing the best they can with the understanding that they've got,
yeah,
and it doesn't mean what they're doing is right or that we should stay in their space. Absolutely not. But it makes it's not personal anymore.
absolutely.
You don't need to carry it.
Yeah, 100%. And when you were saying about that 19-year-old version of you, I felt like the thing that was coming through for me is that she was fighting for freedom.
Mm,
Like that's the
mm,
thing that I could feel. It's like when we search outside of ourselves and we use substances, or for me, it was overworking, overperforming to try and prove something to
yeah,
myself.
yeah.
It's that loop, isn't it? Which we're trying
Mm,
to prove something or to gain something, that relief. But the only
mm,
way we get the relief right is going in to figure it out. And but like we've said over and over again, it's like that the healing journey is embracing the darkness or walking through it so we can step into the light and have the capacity to really last in that freedom, because there'll always be a cycle where we go in like the moon,
mm.
we keep going through these
Oh
over
yeah,
again.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I believe that the darkness is what creates capacity for the light.
Mm.
And I feel like that is the most important part of the journey, is that we
It's the
have to.
pathway, isn't it? It's the
Mm,
pathway. And you do get to a point where you've done this cycle so many times, you're like, all right.
yeah, exactly
When I
that.
got the breast cancer diagnosis, yes, it knocked me for six a little bit. But after I had the initial shock was over, I was like, right, what's this about? Like, where are you taking
Yeah.
me? And I had a deep knowledge that I would be safe. And it was
Mm,
caught so early that at least I did have that. But there was a real like, there's some big learning gonna come here. And that seeing that there was gonna be, isn't it, at least Nicole's talks about, doesn't she, as a gift wrapped in sandpaper.
mhm,
I call it your diamond wrapped in sandpaper. It's there. You might not know what it is yet. I didn't know what the learning was going to be from that. I
mhm.
didn't see it at the beginning, but it was there. Just having faith that it was there made all the difference. I have to admit, when I then broke my leg almost on the anniversary of the operation, I was pissed off.
I don't blame you. I would be as well. I'd be like, really?
I
Really?
mean, you taking like
Yeah.
no. No, 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 no. Like, not just me, but my husband, my children. There'd been a lots of other things going on. There'd been deaths in the family and real difficulties. And I was just like, are you taking the mick? Like, I
No,
am not impressed, guys.
I feel you on that. I mean, I thankfully I've not had the physical side of things, but like the deaths and the losses, and then like mine used to show up in car issues and like breakdowns on the motorway and stuff, and I'd be like, again, we're doing this like, literally last year,
Please do.
2025, mirrored the most traumatic years I had when I was in my like burnout and like teenage trauma and releasing cycles.
Mm.
And I was like, we're doing this again 20 years later. Really? Are we? Sure. And then again, say, putting the backpack on and saying, right, if I'm going to climb this hill of darkness again, let's go.
Come on, let's go. But the difference
Exactly.
is when you go through it again, you've got those tools,
Exactly. That's exactly what
and he, I remember coming out of the hospital after having the diagnosis, and I'm not a natural born medium. I can't just see spirit walking around. I
I
learned to develop it, which makes me much more able to teach it, I think,
Yeah,
actually.
for sure.
But I came out of the hospital and just like connected in, and suddenly my guides, I usually feel my guides at like a little bit of a distance. Different ones, I can feel them kind of around me. They were so close. They were squishing my face. They were like absolutely packed in around me. I couldn't separate them. They were
Mm,
just like, "We've
mm,
got you." I'm like, Jesus Christ. They
mm,
were so close. And then every song that came on the radio was either speaking to what was happening or was my grandparents' music,
mm.
what they loved. And it was every song. I was just like, okay, I know you've got me. And that's, unless you're going through those dark moments, sometimes that's the when the most truest, most beautiful things happen,
Mm.
and there's also, even in the darkest moments, there is laughter. I'll never forget my son saying to me, "Well, you've got two breasts. Why do you need that one?"
Love it.
Like, thanks, kid.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Sure. What do we need? You're a grown man now. You don't need my boob anymore. Sure.
It was so funny. I was just like, thanks, kid.
Oh, I love that so much.
But there's always moments of light, and
Mm.
we've
And
got
then
to
I
grab
think,
them.
yeah, and find them. I think that sometimes
You've
we
got to
get
look for
so,
them.
exactly, we get so wrapped up in the dark and we consume
Mm.
ourselves with it that actually if we lifted our head up for 1 second to just look and find it, we would. And I feel like the lights both come into our things.
I actually think it's such a powerful thing to do, actually. A lot of the time, my clients, their nervous systems are not in a good place, or their head's gone in, that maze of difficult thinking. I'll go outside and look up.
Absolutely.
It and the way it affects your vagus nerve, it's so good for you. And we all look down too much these days. We're looking at our phones, or, we'll be walking through the most beautiful nature and you're watching where your feet are going. Look up.
Absolutely. And that's exactly the analogy that I use about when I was in those trauma loops of just survival mode.
Mm,
I was like running at 100 miles an hour,
hmm.
not looking at the scenery that was there in front of me
Stop.
the whole time
Yeah.
because I was just wrapped in it. But
Yeah.
yeah, now, even like when I'm in an overwhelmed cycle, I feel like I'm busy and I've got loads going on. I'm like, right, I need to go for a walk outside. I need to just be by the water and just
Mhm.
be for a little while, just to
Yeah.
enjoy.
Oh, it's absolutely life changing. It was one of the hardest things when I broke my leg. Was I would even like just come out. I've got a lovely, decent sized garden, and I would come out and just look at the grass and cry. Like I can't even get down onto the grass.
Mm,
It was just too hard when I first, because it was a very severe break, and
mm,
not being able to walk my dog, because that was always my savior. Just being able to get out and go on a long walk, sit in the woods. I love meditating in the woods, just sitting with the trees. Absolutely love it. The woods is my favorite place in the world, and I couldn't do it, and it broke my heart. And I had to just try and find ways. And I remember I've got a video of one of the first times I managed to get down on the grass. I'm just like laying, just spread, like,
mm.
ah.
Love that so much.
It's just so, so healing. I was even saying to my son earlier today, look, I'm due on soon. Perimenopause is kicking my butt and I can't take HRT. It's not an option for me. Um, and so there can be a few days every month where it's really difficult.
Yeah.
It's really challenging. And I said to him, really sorry if I am snapping at you today. This is why I've got a short fuse. I'm very, very sorry. And he was asking, well, what helps? And I said, actually, going out into nature really helps. Just being able to get out and be among the trees and just everybody else just F off.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
Plug it
just
in. 100%. I think I said that to you as well when we had that call and we were just chatting. I was like, I
Mm,
just feel nature from you so much. Like, I
mm,
just feel like it's such a connector,
mhm,
which is important, right? And I think all of us as humans have that capacity to do that. I think that sometimes
mhm.
we've never allowed ourselves to be in it enough, which I think,
It's so important. Like I'm looking at retreat venues. I mean, I'm looking at I'm running like business days for highly sensitive business owners, like chilled out ones that aren't big and loud, really calm, lovely. But I want them to be in somewhere people can open the door and go outside.
yeah, that sounds
I
beautiful.
mean, yeah, yeah, obviously if I'm going to do retreats that are several days, we need to be near nature as much as possible because it's just key, isn't it?
No, I
Mm.
agree. I feel like we can talk forever and I
Mm.
love this so much, but I feel like let's tell people where they can find you and what you're offering right now.
I'm actually in a period of transition with my offerings, so there's new stuff coming.
Mm,
So this is a really good moment to connect. But if you want to find me, Instagram is where I am mainly. I've moved away from Facebook a little bit. I'm more on Instagram, and it's Geraldine Crane Soul, and you'll find me. Um, and I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on TikTok, and I'm everywhere. My website is just geraldinecrane.com. It needs updating. I will. It's one of those things that's on the back burner. I will get to it. But there's been so many shifts in my business because of everything that's been happening and everything I've been through. It's like if I'd spent money on it, even like a couple of months ago, I would have to be doing it again.
I'm in the same place as you right now.
Yeah,
Everything is moving for me too. And I feel
yeah.
like we've been in another death and rebirth cycle. And I had that confirmed by another psychic medium friend. She was like, oh, you're still in the death and rebirth. I was like, please tell me I'm near the end of it. She was like, oh, no, I think a lot of us are. We're just coming out
Mm,
of this. Because
I
again,
think we are.
like we've been talking about, the world has been so chaotic that us that are here for a real soul purpose
Mhm.
had to really refine and refine and refine. And there's
Yeah.
still a little bit further to go. So we're almost there. But obviously, anyone that loves what you're saying can come and find you, and you can
Yeah.
say more
I'm
on that.
yeah, I've got if I've got a new offer coming out of it's not new actually, it's an old one, but it's coming back and it's called the Soul Cleanse. So it's like a 3 hour deep dive and we do connection with spirit guide, a really deep chakra cleanse, and then past life.
Mm.
And that's a really, if you just want a one-off, see what it's like working with me, that's a really lovely thing to do. And then there is to really get down and do the stuff. I have a 16-week intensive, which is where we really do the soul shift intense one-to-one. But I'm working on I used to do a spiritual connection course program. I'm going to bring that back because I'm seeing a lot of business women. I went to a business event 2 days ago and I was showing the women how to dowse using their bodies, and
Mm.
they were just in awe that you could ask your body questions and it will answer. Um, and so I'm thinking there's a lot of female entrepreneurs that could really do with these
Yeah.
tools, and really just start that relationship with their
Mm.
spirit guides. So that's called the Serene Spiritual Connection. That's going to come back. But I'm also working on that soul shift in a group setting because there is something very powerful about having your spiritual connection, your mother wounds, your inner child, all this deep, deep work. Facing those survival patterns, but with other people going through the same thing. There's something very powerful about that.
I agree. I'm literally birthing something along those lines where it's connection with women and going through this like reclamation journey.
Hmm.
For me, I'm sort of it's been feeling around being seen as women,
Hmm.
but I feel like that's still something I'm maneuvering, but I know that the
Mm.
the beginning phases I have locked. It's that last bit. I'm like, what is that
Yeah.
part that I'm trying to get my fingers on? But yeah, very much that. I feel like the collaboration connection, that sisterhood energy needs to be there. And in the
Yeah.
projects that I've got going on at the moment, that's always the baseline for me because
Yeah.
we're just stronger together, aren't we, as
We
women?
are. We
So,
are. And there's I everything I do is about bringing more of that love in.
well, and I feel like it's so like I was saying with the sisterhood wounding that we talk about and like I've been
Mm.
speaking about, it's like the underlying core of that is the mother wound, right? And the connection
Mm.
to the divine. And even when we talk about the connection to source and spirit, it's like also the connection to our intuition. So for me, everything is
It's
interconnected, like,
all interconnected.
right?
It's funny because I drive social media mad in the algorithms because I don't fit because I do mother wounds, I do female entrepreneurs, and I do spiritual connection. Like that, I can see the algorithms going, "What? Like, where do we put this woman?" Um, but they're all so deeply intertwined. I've had business coaches saying, "Well, do you want to focus more on the mother wound, or do you want to be more spirit guides?" I said, "You cannot separate them,
Mm.
because at the end of the day, this is all about love."
Yeah.
That's at the core of all of it. Loving yourself, love, spirit from, love from spirit guys, love for your business, love for yourself. It's all love.
Yeah,
It's the
absolutely.
key.
One love, Bob Marley would quote you there.
Yeah.
But it's been so lovely to have you and just share your wisdom and knowledge. And I feel like we'll probably end up doing another one soon because I feel like there's so much we can talk about.
Mm.
The way I like to end the episode is I'd love for you to just share what's on your heart, if it's a channeled message, but whatever you feel like the audience needs to hear right now.
The message that keeps coming through from spirit is, yes, things look dark, but if you can keep yourself strong, if you can really honor your needs and take care of yourself, you will bring energy to the world that is very, very much needed. So you're not going to serve anyone by drowning in the chaos. Pull yourself away from it and really take care of you. That's why the lighthouse is so important. Don't get in the boats. Don't try and get involved in other drama. Really stay as you, the lighthouse, and shine your light really bright. Take care of your energy, hold those boundaries, know who you are, shine. And so fitting for this podcast, but shine, because that is what spirit show me time and time and time again.
That's so lovely. And I couldn't obviously have said it better myself. I completely agree. And I think that, everything we're talking about right now in the world, it's like the best thing you can do for yourself is to fill your own cup. So you've got the overflow to share with, right? More than anything.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
thank you so much for joining me, Geraldine. And I'll put all of your links and everything in the show notes so everyone can come and find you that way.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please do like, follow, and share with a woman that you know needs to hear these words today. The more women that get to listen, the more impact and change and transformation I get to make into this world, and the light in you shines on others. So sharing that forward is absolutely the mission of this. This is how we all give and get and receive the permission to fully shine. I also have some really incredible things happening this year. I'm hosting the second She Rises event in April. So if you want to find out more about that, click the link in the description. And I'm now newly launching my first ever group program that is called Unforgettable. And it's taking you from performing visibility to embodied authority. So whether that's host your own podcast or being on stage or being the leader of your field, and you're ready to fully embody this version of you that has this dream and ambition, that you know the limiting beliefs, the childhood experiences, the generational trauma that has stopped you and prevented you from fully stepping into who you came here to be. This is the space where we get to write a new story, a new chapter in your life. And I'm so excited to hold that space for you. And as always, if you're looking for one-to-one guidance and support, drop me a message, because there's always spaces available for you. I'm sending you so much love.